Again,
Isn't that sad? Because the Communist Party is losing out on an opportunity to embrace and just be multicultural.
Yeah,
that's the coolest thing you can be in society.
They don't accept it.
And they don't want it. It's such a missed opportunity.
If you have a too much multicultural background, you start thinking
Start thinking.
Right. Start to have your own logic.
Right. You start to hear different perspectives. And the Communist Party doesn't like that.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Recently.
Because what people don't realize is people are going to think that I'm just pretending to be your friend for this show. And they don't know that, you were the guy that made me stay in Los Angeles.
Is that a good choice?
Yeah, definitely. It changed my life.
That's good, man. Feels good. I feel good, man.
It changed my life.
I feel good. I changed someone's life.
It makes me think that you're the example for how we should be as human beings. Because the power of a Uyghur to make that distinction, to be like, I don't stand against the Chinese people. Because I've seen you interact with Chinese people that love you. Yes. I've seen you when we just are in a parking lot and they're just like, Inty, hey, can we take pictures and stuff? And you're the man with them and all that. And it would be so easy, for example, for a Jewish person to have resentment towards a German while it was happening or years after the concentration camps. And to show forgiveness is something that I think takes tremendous strength. That's why I think you're one of my favorite people.
Because I understand there's not like whole ethnic problem. I mean, not their fault, whole ethnic fault. But I against Chinese 大中华情节. But I'm not against this ethnic or this Chinese people.
Yeah.
I'd love to Chinese people be proud of their own culture, but do not underestimate other culture or invade other culture.
Right. Well, let's also be clear here. American culture also has terrible things in it. And America's history has got darkness, for sure. And guess what? That's fucking life. Because human beings are imperfect, governmental systems are imperfect. That's the only reason that they say, democracy is the worst government system except for all the others. Democracy gives you a chance to improve.
Improve, and you admit your history, admit the problem.
To admit the problem.
You have admitted.
Think about this. If Japanese people, if there was some Chinese people that Japanese people paid to go on YouTube and say, listen, Nanjing Massacre didn't happen. And they said because a Chinese person said that, then they believe it. Because this is the exact shit that you see from those Yangumar. That say, hey, I'm in Xinjiang, it's great. And you have other Chinese, the documentary that came out recently, where they're like, yo, things look good here.
I never see genocide. I never see concentration.
I don't see it, so it must not be here. Which is just, even for the basic understanding of logic, is a crock of shit.
Yeah, there's no logic.
Let's ask some questions from my patrons and some of my followers.
Sure, man.
So Simon asked some great questions. How much do the Han Chinese who live in Xinjiang interact with the Uyghurs and other minorities? In your experience, is the society very segregated? Would the Han Chinese in Xinjiang have some understanding of what's going on, or would they be just as unaware as Chinese in other provinces?
That's a good question. First, if the people, Han Chinese, came to Xinjiang 1950 or 1940, they're second generation or first generation, born there and grew up there, they have more understanding. They kind of understand our culture and they kind of easy to hang out with. But after 1980 and 1990s, Chinese government did a way more immigrant. Normally, most of them from rural area for Hunan province or Anhui province. Right. So you don't have too much education to understand other cultures, or they don't care about other culture. Right. They just want to make a living. So this gonna bring bigger problem. For example, we are culturally Muslim society. I mean, culturally, a lot of people don't even read the Bible, read the Quran, but they think they are Muslim.
What percentage of people would you say under the age of 40 are like that? It's more cultural, less religious.
More cultural, I think.
What percentage? Rough guess.
Rough guess?
Rough guess.
I think 70 to 80%.
Wow.
Very culturally.
That's what most of my Jewish friends are too.
Yeah, in America, the same. I think a lot of Americans, I'm Christian, but they barely read the Bible.
Right.
In Uyghur society is the same. Maybe like 10% or 20% is very religious, but
And you also have the other.
most of them not really religious.
A lot of, and then you also, it's not only Muslims in Xinjiang.
yeah, not.
You also have Christians, right?
That's another issue. It's a big issue too. There in the concentration camp right now happening. There's a lot of Uyghur Christian,
Right.
but international society they don't know about it. Also, the China is controlling the narrative, which is Uyghur Muslim, Uyghur Muslim, Uyghur Muslims. They want to trigger this because they lock down Uyghur not about religion. Mostly, they want to erase your culture. Mostly, people got arrested. Is people who really know Uyghur culture, Uyghur language, Uyghur literature, Uyghur history.
So let's pause there for a second because I want to ask you
Uyghur
about that.
celebrities.
Tell us a little bit about Uyghur culture because for people that don't know, and I'm going to put a little video clip of it on there,
Yeah.
my favorite Chinese comedian by far was a Uyghur. And I always say he was the only great comedian in China. I never saw anybody else in Chinese stand-up comedy, which is booming. You know, I never saw anybody else that was even close
色彩的长相，
to his level.
这我到哪儿都是焦点，真的没办法。我上个出租车也是，司机都不问我去哪儿，就开始问我小伙子你哪儿人呀？然后我就要开始那段重复了我无数遍的对话，因为那个司机肯定会给我扔一堆关于我家乡的关键词。师傅，小伙子你哪儿人呀？我说我是新疆。啊，新疆，好地方。就今年我去过一次。水果，羊肉串儿，古力娜扎。真的，我每天都经历这个。
So where does that come from? I mean, is Uyghur culture, is that like a part of it, like this
I think-
entertainer?
I think first because of our geography locations, which is Central Asia. From long history, you get connection with the east part of the Asia, also the Western world. In our language, Uyghur language, there's a lot of mixed language. For example, in Uyghur, sofa, safa, or doctor. Your language already have a multicultural. If you grew up in a multiple culture society or multiple culture background, of course you easily understand all different culture and they mixed it. It become all better because just like in New York, why is very advanced? Because there's tons of different culture. In Los Angeles, why is so kind of advanced? Hollywood, that kind of stuff, or art, because there's so much different culture. You mixed it.
That's my favorite part about America. It's the most,
Yeah, and
the super diverse.
America, why is so advanced?
Yeah.
Because there's so multiple culture.
Right.
In Uyghur land, why Uyghurs kind of have a very long good history because we are very multiple culture. There's a Russian culture, there's a Chinese culture, the Uyghurs their own core culture.
I mean,
Is that amazing?
So it
is
is.
that amazing?
What makes it more amazing that people don't even know is not only the best comedian in China was a Uyghur, the best two rappers
Rappers.
were Uyghur. The best two, and it's crazy to see that how they twist Chinese into a flow. Because the hardest part about rapping in Chinese is the tones.
Tones, yeah.
Do you need the tones? It's like it's a balance. You need a little bit of the tone, but you can't have too much. You know, when those guys rap in Chinese, you can really hear what they're saying in every word.
我来自新疆，也 call me 28万。我来自乌鲁木齐 ，represent 把郎子。我从小吃牛肉，吃羊肉长大，就算血染三困难，也不怕留下伤疤。
That's only art part.
Yeah, that's the art.
This is only art part. There's other sports part too.
Right.
And also there's all different kind of part because
They have a great Uyghur soccer team, but they don't use any of it.
they don't use
They
any
don't
of
want
it.
it.
They don't want it because if you use too much Uyghur in your national team, which makes your Chinese society look weak. Whoa, where's it's again.
Isn't that sad? Because the Communist Party is losing out on an opportunity to
Yes.
embrace
That's so
and
stupid.
just be multicultural.
Yeah, that's
just be that's the coolest thing
that's
you can
cool
be in
too.
society.
They don't accept it.
And they don't want it.
don't want it.
It's such a
You know
missed
why?
opportunity.
If you have a too much multicultural background, you start thinking
Start thinking.
Start thinking.
Right.
Start to have your own logic.
Right. You start to hear different perspectives, and the Communist Party doesn't like that.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah.
After 2016, 2017, asking passport from government is a crime to go to concentration camp.
Which is why this idea that when Chinese
that
people,
passport?
when-
$20.
you know, that's why when Chinese people try and say, like, no, Lula, it's 因为都是恐怖分子. It's like,
That's
no,
narrative.
you're not fucking paying attention.
No.
And here's the thing.
It's a brainwash.
Let's not pretend like there wasn't terrorist attacks in Xinjiang, because there was. But if you take a small number, a really small number, and you use it to define an
20,
entire...
30 million people.
If you use it to define 20 or 30 million people, you're a dumbass.
You dumbass. You're creating the hate and creating the bigger enemy.
Yeah, you're creating hate.
Look, bro,
Yeah.
I got Chinese education since I was little baby or little young. Why I against China and against China's Communist Party right now? I should go there and help them to become a bridge of Uyghur and the Chinese, or bridge of Chinese and the Central Asia.
Yeah.
Why right now I'm here against China's Communist Party?
Because they forced you.
They forced me
They forced you to do that.
make the enemy like me.
Right.
That's too stupid.
Whereas you were a resource. You actually could have been a great resource for them.
Just like the comedian Uyghur guy got
He
arrested.
could have been the best resource they had. They could have sent him on world tours, and the whole world would be like, wow, China is creative.
Creative.
They're great. They're multicultural.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's an Inty, this guy, represent China.
Yeah.
I could be happily go back to China and
He's
make
6'3", muscular.
I mean,
Okay.
that's dumbest, stupidest,
The biggest missed opportunity, and that's
Yeah.
what Chinese people don't understand with their government. They're screwing your
Screw up.
country up. And that's why they had to get rid of Kamu.
Kamu, yeah.
That's why they had to get rid of Kamu.
Yeah, they
Because he
should.
had too much influence.
Yeah, he got too much influence.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. They're scared of them.
Yeah.
They should send him to different world, have a world trip to represent China. Hey, this Uyghur guy represent China. See, this is how our policy works.
It'd have been great.
It'd be
People would have been like,
great,
this
yeah.
guy is unbelievable. I can't believe China's really changing.
That's how stupid.
That's why it's so frustrating.
一帮教父白天到处都跑去，生活困苦却一路欢声笑语。到晚上他们期待赶那一秒数，终于可以静下来去湖边一起钓鱼。不回家，一夜一夜做到天亮，看穿机械咒语出现，天气变凉。